Now listen, I'm going to ask you a favor. If you're listening to the Dan Kingston podcast, you're a part of Kingston country. Please subscribe, tell a friend, tell a family member, leave a rating or a review on Apple Podcasts. However you can help, I'm asking you. Please do it. Listen, we're all going through something. And whatever you're going through, hang in there. I believe in you. You got this.
Caution. Your paradigm is about to shift at the intersection of fact and reason. You're entering Kingston country.
I'm Dan Kingston, and you're listening to the Dan Kingston podcast.
Could you say whether or not under a Warren administration would your vice president's child be allowed to serve on a board of a foreign company?
No.
Why not?
I don't know. I mean, I'd have to go back and look at the details.
Do you think that could be a problem?
I have to go back and look.
Whoa, they got Elizabeth Warren in a trap. A reporter caught her right there asking, in a Warren administration, would your vice president's son be allowed to take his sweetheart oil deal? And she said no. She says no, and then she says, I got to think about this one. You got me in a trap. You can see it. I don't know. I got to look at the details. Everybody knows Warren is a big policy wonk, and you can just tell. When you're looking at somebody, when you're listening to them, the charismatic nature of their presence reveals so much about their message, and she's walking it back. So why does it matter so much how things appear? Because how things appear, that's everything. Everything's relative. Everything's relative to everything else. So let me tell you a story. Because I'm a small business owner, I have a background in sales. The best way to sell a $1,000 watch is to put it next to a $10,000 watch. It's the oldest sales trick, because as soon as you see an expensive $10,000 watch, whoa, the $1,000 watch looks like a bargain. That's a deal, right? The same thing applies in politics. In fact, it applies in every aspect of life. So when the media is hyping up the Russian collusion claims for years and years, and the Mueller report kind of comes out and disputes a lot of those collusion findings, and still finds some bad stuff, but nothing like, MSNBC, Rachel Maddow, all these people were telling you that Trump was virtually a Putin puppet, and all of the dots are laying out all before you, all the leaks to all the newspapers talking about collusion and a puppet president. It turned out not to be the case. It turned out he did some bad stuff in covering up the report and the investigation, allegedly, but in terms of the worst accusations that were leveled against the president, some truly horrible accusations were leveled against the president. Pissed him off. I mean, you can see because the Mueller report turned out that it wasn't the worst fears. Those weren't what came to fruition. What came to fruition was what everybody kind of knew before the report, that this president is a unconventional president and is not beholden to the traditional avenues of etiquette, right? He's going to get things done his own way, and he's certainly run into resistance for doing that. What Warren is confirming is something that the news and the mainstream media, they don't want you to think about. What goes on behind the scenes? What is their strategy to get you to tune in? You see, on CNN, they describe the Biden claims, Biden's son, corruption scandal as baseless, complete baseless. That's actually in the ticker when they talk about the Ukraine scandal with Trump and the whistleblower complaint and the Biden controversy with his son. They describe it as baseless. And this is not the editorial staff. I mean, it could be. The entire cable news network is just a opinion editorial apparatus of the deep state, if you really want to go there. They're saying that it's baseless. Okay, their opinion, their editorial, fine. What happens when you hear a clip of the front runner, by all accounts, Elizabeth Warren. Okay, Biden's a front runner. The 80-year-old's a front runner. Sure, okay. Elizabeth Warren's a real front runner. And she's saying that if she had a vice president's son, he wouldn't be allowed to do these deals. Well, at least she'd have to look at it. She'd have to look at it. If it's complete baselessness, why would she have to look at it? Why would she even have to look back at her policy? We all know she's a policy wonk. She has the policies down more than any other candidate. Elizabeth Warren has her policies down. Well, she's saying it's not baseless. She doesn't have to say it out loud. Look at her response. Listen to her. She's saying it's not baseless. I'm preaching to the choir here, but I'm trying to prove a point. The point that I'm saying is that because the mainstream media, they set the goalposts so high, they say that this is the horrible worst thing that's ever happened. Then the facts come out and the truth comes out, and it's not pretty, but it sure as hell ain't what they were painting, right? So the confidence of independence goes down, and the excitement of the radicals goes up, because you have on one side, you have the Trump supporters, the base, and they're saying, oh, I can't stand these lies anymore. Look at it, one after another for years. They're just lies and lies, and they're getting heated. They're getting excited. They're getting ramped up. And on the other end, you have the far leftists who can't take it anymore. They can't take the corruption. Every single leak, every single report, editorial, opinion, on the mainstream media, the corrupt media, the deep state media, it's all taken at face value. It's all factual, right? And even when the Mueller report comes out, instead of reading it and understanding that the worst allegations that were made against the president weren't anywhere near validated by the Mueller report, instead, they look at the Mueller report and without reading it, they say, look, it confirms everything Rachel Maddow said. It doesn't. It simply does not. If it did, we wouldn't be here. We would be in a different dimension. Not the dimension that exists today with Ukraine whistleblower complaint, basically Mueller 2.0, and they haven't learned anything from hyping up these charges, and when it comes out and when the facts are revealed, it can't be anywhere near as bad as what they were accusing, because they accuse a satirical comic book-like portrayal. And it's not reality. It isn't. It's a comic book larger-than-life president, and that doesn't mean everything that happens is a comic book-like world. But that's what they'd like you to believe. And they want you to do this so you tune in, so you keep tuning in. So they work in tandem. They work in tandem. The left, the Democrats, they want to retain power, but so does CNN. So does Fox. So does MSNBC. They're all in it for the power. Aren't you in it for the power? You want to be represented? Everybody has a stake in this game. Don't be so naive as to think the people you trust are completely trustworthy.
This is Kingston Country.
Going back to this idea, the best way to sell a $1,000 watch is to put it next to a $10,000 watch. And thinking of that, what I explained about sales and that process, psychological process, I want you to listen to this clip.
Say this only 7 times, so you better listen good. I want you to make up dirt on my political opponent, understand lots of it. This is, in sum, in character, what the president was trying to communicate.
That was you making up dialogue, putting it in the president's mouth. If the facts are as damning as you say, why make up dialogue for dramatic effect, even if it's a parody, as you say?
Well, George, you're right. The call speaks for itself, and it is...
He doesn't answer the question, but the point is that he is doing the opposite of what you want to do to sell a $1,000 watch. What he's trying to do is sell the $10,000 watch and then sneak you a $1,000 watch when you're not looking. It's the problem with the attorneys, and they have no experience in business, and they don't know what they're doing. And that's why Trump is cleaning their clocks, because he understands the basic psychology of business and sales, and he's using it in politics every which way. They don't understand even what's happening to them. And part of the problem, everybody's saying, when will the Republicans dump Trump? Will they ever turn? No, they're not. I'll tell you why they're not going to and why they haven't. And the leftists are sitting on the tip of their seat, every single report, every breathless accusation. This is it. Oh, we got him now. Oh, we got him. Until the facts come out and they're nowhere near as damning as has been suggested. And you got people like Schiff making it up, exaggerating it, so that when the Republicans, they're giving him fuel to say, wait a minute, it's not what he said. Now the president calls Schiff treasonous. Treason! Everybody then is swept up with the treason word. Oh, Trump has said something so offensive. Problem is, that's already been calculated into the equation. Independents know, the radicals on the right and the radicals on the left, everybody in between. We all know Trump says tough stuff. And he's a bully. Yeah, he can be a bully. And that's nobody loves the fact that he bullies. Okay? I think you'd be hard-pressed to find someone that says, okay, I like the fact he bullies. You know what they like? Is that he wins. That he doesn't get taken down. And that's more important. Because he's standing up against the deep state. He's keeping us out of the endless wars. At least preventing any new ones. And they're trying to take him down at every step of the way. And you can see at first, you thought, oh, maybe this is a mentally unfit president. You almost start to believe the deep state lies. But I'll tell you, it's been years. And after week of them telling you he's going to have dementia and break down, you got to step back and wonder, why do they keep this narrative that he's insane, that he has dementia, that World War III is just one nuclear button click away, when he's actually doing so much to keep us out of the Middle East and to wind down these stupid wars and to fight against the NSA and the deep state. And they're trying to take him down because of it. And when, Trump says, oh, you're treasonous, nobody cares. They would prefer maybe he uses softer language, maybe. But the real shocking thing from that is that Schiff made up some allegation that wasn't in the transcript. He's just summing it up. Even Stephanopoulos, who's no conservative, is saying, wait a minute. Why are you making it up? If it's so damning, why are you having to summarize? Just read from the transcript if it's so damning. So the Democrats don't have a clear strategy. Even if they did have a strategy, they couldn't execute it because they don't understand the zeitgeist. They don't get politics. Listen, the saddest thing about this whole thing is that politics, it's never going to be the same. It's never going back to how it was. Whoever's telling you it's going to go back after Trump, they're lying to you or they're just an idiot. Look at cable news ratings. It shows the story better than any thing that anybody could tell you. Fox News is still number one, but the ratings are so close now between the three networks. And it's striking how it all changed when Trump entered the race in 2015. It starts out with Fox News way ahead in the ratings and MSNBC in a distant third. But now we're almost in a three-way race. In fact, MSNBC has overtaken CNN. And Fox News is just going down, actually. They're on a downward trajectory while MSNBC is on an upward trajectory. CNN is starting to balance out, but they're going down too. What does it tell you? That Trump has dynamically altered the entire cable news apparatus. The entire mainstream media has been unhinged by the Trump presidency. And it's never going back to how it was. Now, we're never going back. You say, oh, it's Trump's fault. It's Trump's fault if you're a far leftist. But if you're an independent American out there like you and me, you understand it was just as much the endless, breathless, false accusations, one after another, that turned out to be incorrect, overblown, exaggerated. And so instead of selling you that $1,000 watch with the $10,000 watch next to it, they did the opposite. They tried to sell you a $10,000 watch, and when you weren't looking, they wanted to slip you in the cheaper one. That's not going to work. They're not going to fool the American people that way. We have a fractured country, and we have a country that doesn't trust any source of news except for the one that's just, spoon feeding them what they want to hear. The Dan Kingston podcast is not going to be spoon fed to you. That's why, whether you're right, left, or center, your paradigm will shift listening to the Dan Kingston podcast.
Kingston Country. You've been listening to the Dan Kingston podcast.